Building a big and well-defined back does not have to be complicated, guys. There are 4 movement paths and movement patterns that you need to perform in order to get the most out of your back days, your back exercises, all that stuff. And that's going to be a row, a pull, a scapular control, and an extension. So that's the 4 key components of what we need to get the most out of our back movements, to get the most hypertrophy, and to not waste time with fluff and all these other accessory movements. So I'm going to take you guys through each one. I'm going to give you 2 examples of a movement that you can do to make sure you hit all the criteria and you get the most out of your back. So if we're focusing on the row, the easiest exercise that you can do is obviously going to be body weight or inverted rows. So all we need is a low bar or a broom, 2 chairs, anything of that nature. And all we're going to do, guys, is just row up to our chest. Nice and easy. Keep it simple. Now your foot placement obviously will determine how difficult or hard this movement is. If you have your feet here, it's a little bit easier, and if you stand upright, obviously it is easier. And if you want to make it more difficult, what we're going to do, grab a bench and we're going to elevate our feet so that we're pushing more of our own body weight, and we're getting essentially even more out of the row. Right, that's going to target obviously the lats and all the back muscles basically involved. And now if bodyweight rows aren't really your thing and you want to focus on a different movement pattern or a different movement path, what we can do is we can go straight into a seated row. Now my seated row that I can do is at home because I purchased a pulley system. Not expensive. Get yourself a pulley system if you want to do workouts at home, guys. When we come to the seated row, we find ourselves a nice wide bar, and again it's the exact same movement pattern really as doing the bodyweight row. The only thing with this is that you do have a bit more stability. You are taking out the core element of it as well. However, those back muscles are still getting worked, guys, and it's just as simple as that. So you have the option of the bodyweight row or the seated row. You don't have to do both of these in the same session. Again, they work in the exact same muscle groups, so that would be a little bit redundant, but you have the option. Let's say you work out at a park, you do the bodyweight rows. If you have the option to go to the gym or you have like a setup at home, you can just do the seated rows, guys. Simple as that. Let's move on to the pull now. Now obviously pull speaks for itself. Pull-ups, guys. Nice wide grip pull-ups are probably one of the greatest movements that you can do to build your back. Some may argue the king of all back exercises, sorry. And when you start to add weight and things of that nature, it's a wonderful movement. Now there is many different variations you can do of the pull-up. So as you can see, I did wide, but you can also do a hammer grip, which is gonna allow the biceps to get a little bit involved for those who may not be as advanced as to do wide. Or you can do supinated, so that's going to be your palms facing towards you. Again, this is going to allow for the most bicep involvement for the movement, and it's probably going to be easy for most beginners. However, with all those different variations, your lats are still going to get the work, the back muscles still going to get the work. So you can pick one of those, see how it gets on, but gradually you do want to start to do wider and wider grips to make it more intense and to get more out of the movement. Now if you can't do pull-ups, or maybe you're just not interested in doing pull-ups, then you could always do a lat pull down. So let's say, for example, you're at a hotel gym, they're in a pull-up bar or something of that nature where you can't get access to a pull-up bar. The lat pull down is probably going to become your best friend. So very similar in movement pattern in regards to the pull-up, the lat pull down. We're just bringing it right there, guys. Now this weight is obviously light, but you get the general thing. You really don't have to pull the bar crazy low. And you know, you've seen some videos, people pulling the bar all the way down. You don't really have to do that, guys. You know, just hitting the upper chest is going to be more than enough. Even if you can't hit your upper chest and you can only bring it to about here, again, that's going to be more than enough to really get that bicep back growth going. And these also, if you're not really good at pull-ups, you can always do, you know, a set of pull-ups and then maybe jump on a lat pull down just to work those muscles to, you know, build up your pull-up strength as well, guys. But that is the pull movements. Two very simple, easy pull movements that you can do. Again, you don't have to do them in the same day. You can split them up in between the week, however, or, you know, different program training, whatever. But just make sure that you are getting the pulling motion in to really target those lats. So the third movement pattern or path that we want to do, and I've been guilty of not doing it enough in the past and suffered the consequences, is extension, guys. We want to make sure that we're extending at the spine. Now, one of my favorite movements now, and I have done in the past but not consistently, is back extension. So you can see my setup. If you don't have a Roman chair or a back extension machine, you find yourself a bench, you find some weight that you know is going to hold the bench in place and not topple over, because we don't want injuries, guys. And we're just going to lock ourselves in place, and we're simply going to extend at the spine, guys. Bend and extend the spine. Now, why do I say this is important? Well, if you've ever had a lower back injury in life, you know how hard it is to overcome, to come back from, and to live with back pain, especially lower back pain, because most movements that you do are going to involve the lower back for stabilization, things of that nature. So if your lower back is weak, you're going to suffer at the end of the day. And I wish someone had really drove this point home to me. So you really want to make sure that you're strengthening your lower back. Even doing these body weight for high reps is really going to get, you know, that safety measure around your lower back. And it's also going to help with the hypertrophy of the erectors and the back muscles in that region. Now, once you get strong, you can start to add things like weight plates, things of that nature. Maybe wear a weighted vest while you're doing it. So many different options, resistance bands, you know, so many different things. But the extension is very, very important for your spine health, for your body stabilization, keeping everything in this region in check. So this is why I say it's so important. This region is not so aesthetically pleasing, but when it comes to body mechanics and just being able to move freely, it's of the utmost importance, guys. Now, you could argue the case, well, I don't have access to a bench, I don't have weights that can hold down my bench, I don't have a Roman chair or a back extension machine, what do I do instead? Well, you can always just do some good mornings. Simple, easy. Literally, you just bring a barbell onto your back, or just maybe a heavy pole, something of that nature. You've never done this before, then you don't have to load them too heavy, and literally just like that. Again, we're strengthening the spine, we're strengthening lower back muscles. The hamstrings are a little bit more involved in this, obviously, because we are hinging at the hips. However, the back is still going to get some work, guys. So this is another option for you. Now, you have to be very careful with good mornings, especially if it's an exercise that you haven't been doing consistently. You probably want to start off very light, gauge where your strength is at, and then you can build up over time. So again, it's almost like a reverse of a deadlift, to be honest. Starting here, load up, come back up. Now, the straighter you keep your legs, the more pressure you're going to put on the lower back. And depending on what your goal is, hey, that might be what you need to do. So you can keep your legs relatively straight with a slight bend, and the sensation in the lower back is going to be great. The lower back's going to have to do some more work. This exercise is not dangerous. Don't be fooled. Any movement path that you progressively strengthen in, you will be strong in, and it won't get injured. It's only going to be a problem is if you try to put 60 kilos on your back and then try and do this movement. Your body is not prepared. You're going to crack something, you're going to break something, and it's going to go into survival mode, and it's not going to be a fun time for you. But if you start off very light and gradually build yourself up stronger and stronger and stronger, there's no reason why you should get injured, and you should probably never suffer with any sort of back pain in your life, guys. So that's the extension formula. We've got one more movement path or pattern to go. This is a movement pattern or a function of the back that is somewhat overlooked. Again, it's not really the sexiest movements, or doesn't produce the most hypertrophy in regards to some of the more grotesque or larger pulling movements. However, scapular control, very important, guys. One way that you can really focus on building that thoracic and posterior strength is just by doing face pulls. So you can see we've got the cable set up. We use the ropes, which is going to allow us to pull like that. Just like that, guys. Very simple, nice and easy. We're letting our scapula move freely, and that's really also going to help with some shoulder health, get some of the rear delt action in there as well, and obviously the upper portion of the back. Now let's say, for example, I don't have weights, I don't have cables, I don't have a gym membership. How can I still do some scapular control without any equipment? Well, what you're going to do is you're going to bring yourself to a pull-up bar, and we're literally going to go into a dead hang, but we're going to do some scapular pulls. So we're really going to work on engaging the scapula, just like that. Now, if you do these correctly, you're definitely going to feel the sensation in the upper back. Remember, we're not trying to do a pull-up, we're just working the scapula. Quite simple, very easy to do. Again, no equipment apart from a bar to hang from, and you just work these scapular guys. But that is the 4 movements that you want to focus on to build a strong, well-defined back with no weaknesses. So we've got the row, we've got the pull, we've got the extension, and we've got the scapular control. I've shown you many different options. There's body weights, there's weights, there's cables, there's, you know, bars involved, there's whatever. Just make it work for you. Even if you have to use a backpack, water bottles, you know, chairs, anything to make it work to get your results, because nobody cares about your excuses. They only care about the results that you can show at the end of the day. So hope you enjoyed watching. I hope you get something from this video. Make sure you're working your back correctly. I will state again, you don't have to do every single movement that I've shown you in this video. You can pick one from each movement pattern and then program it into your routine. Especially if you have favorites. Let's say you prefer pull-ups over lat pull-downs, just stick with the pull-ups, you're cool. If you don't like pull-ups, just do lat pull-downs, you're good, you know. But yeah, hope you enjoyed watching. Make sure you like, you comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one. I'm out. Peace.